it helps if I unmute the microphone. Come on. Give me something. Yes, we've got audio. We've got audio. We've got audio and we've got video. Oh God, the amount of time I've spent trying to get this bloody streaming setup up and running is ridiculous. Do not buy cheap Chinese eBay streaming devices for capturing HDMI. They are not worth your time, I promise. The next thing I buy is going to be a brand name, and it is going to be very, very, very expensive, because nothing is worth this pain. Anyway, people are showing up. Is this okay all over the world? We have sound and some echo. Well, that's good, because that's my headphones. Right, so let me just give you, before we get going properly, this is just a trashy test stream. So here is a quick look at the carnage, underexposed carnage. That is my current streaming setup. So that's the PC doing all the work, and that's just the jumbled mess of HDMI capture adapters. One of a crossover because it didn't work, then it miraculously started working again for no reason. Anyway, let's just see if this thing might be workable for the future. You stay there. Someone asks, haircut? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I just take the big 230 volt dog haircut we have and yark everything off. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is primarily to see if my dual HDMI capture setup works, because we're actually using the proper cool Panasonic camera to capture this over HDMI while running this small camera here over HDMI. So we're actually capturing 2 channels HDMI, which is something I haven't been able to do before, just for having even worse, horrible, cheapo Chinese capture devices. So let's just get to work. This is my bedroom heater. Since I live in Finland, sauna is a very real thing. However, this house doesn't have a sauna. So I do the next best thing, which is to just have a 1.5-ish kilowatt heater blowing at my feet under a bunch of blankets in the sofa, and it works very well. I'm lucky enough not to perspirate a lot, so I get away with it. I don't start smelling like an ox from doing it. However, this poor thing sees a lot of use, and as you might be able to tell from the shining orange design, it is not exactly the latest model. Here's the top cover. Is that not a thing of beauty? This thing looks like it could be an emergency vehicle. So what's happened is the switch assembly is starting to arc, and it's, as you might be able to tell, a rather shoddy plastic thing. It isn't exactly reeking of quality, and these are mechanically interconnected switches. So you have air, heat 1 and heat 2, and as you can see we have these plastic fluffs there going across them to make sure you can't turn on heat without turning on air as well. So if you take that one, all of them tick, and if you turn off air, all of them tick. However, that doesn't quite actuate them properly, and by just having had that done to it a few too many times, basically all of the switches are just kind of arcing over and they're acting horrible. So we have to take these out and clean them up. It's not going to be a major project at all, which is why we're doing it with this untested setup, so there's no loss in case everything just goes horrible wrong. And I'm now noticing, actually, sitting here, that that camera should probably be like over there, so you can see my face, not the back of my beautiful head. But we'll care about that later. This workshop is going to trash anyway. So let's just get to work. I want to mark out these wires so we don't get them wrong. We just have to disconnect the whole front panel. 1, 2, 3, and we've got one unmarked one down there. I'll just put some paint randomly on that one. Let's see if we can manage to get this thing out. I love this heater because it's very modular actually. It comes apart very easily, just 4 screws, and I've serviced this thing a lot. I really do like it as well because, as you can see, it has one of these vintage heaters in it. It's not a ceramic core like you get on almost all the new ones, where it's just a big chunk of aluminium, all this stuff, basically, with a ceramic heater inside. These spools of wire, or rather these coils of wire, they actually glow red hot, and they're stuck full of burned dog hairs. This isn't too pretty. These things smell horribly if you get any dust or debris or hairs in them, just because the wires run so hot, and I can see they're almost starting to get a bit burned out, these poor things. I'm dreading the day this thing bites the dust completely, because I don't have anything to replace it with, because these are just difficult to get your hands on these days. You just get the ceramic ones basically, and this one in particular, since it has a very high temperature on these wires and very low airflow, so you get very hot air, about 150 degrees is what comes out of this thing at max blast, so it's really lovely and hot to just douse my feet in. Let's have a quick look what the chat's got to say, so I'm not just ignoring you guys. We have sound. Oh yeah, sounds good. Hej halvfinnjävel. Hej dansk. If it looks stupid and it works, it's not stupid. Perhaps not. How is the Peugeot doing these days? Actually excellent. I've got a video coming up on that. I've been shooting the last couple of days, been doing some restoration work on that. Photonic_induction, which is not the real photonic inductions, is asking something about the tube amps, and I know nothing about tube amps. Sorry, I am not an authority on those. An authority on solids. Well, I know things about solid state amps. I would not say I'm an authority on them. And of course, old style heaters and switches and anything which falls apart I had to fix. So there we go, we can take the lovely orange assembly aside and have a look at the switch assembly itself. So, focus please, exposure please. So this is held in by a metal frame there, and that's going to be a bit horrible to get apart actually. I really would like to disassemble this entire assembly so that I can clean the contacts in it, because I really like the way this thing looks as well as it performs, so I'd rather not ruin any part of it. So the way they've put this together, they just shoved the whole switch assembly in through the front of it, letting the metal just grab holes. So I think if we take a screwdriver to that, we might be able to pry this back just far enough for it to let the switch go. Given enough patience, maybe, perhaps. I don't like this. I don't like this. I really don't want to ruin any part of this. Here, we're just going to have to very slowly walk this out. Oh dear, the metal's just ripping in the corners, it's so old. This is not a good job. This is no fun. But it's starting to come. Oh yeah, never mind actually. It seems to be coming quite well. Yeah, this is working. We're making progress. Got it 2 mils. Almost out. Hey, we made it. So that's what switch assembly. So the symptom this has been displaying is it's just been arcing. I think it's been arcing on all the contacts. So now we need to get inside this. So the contacts are, the buttons are obviously held in with that pin. Rather, the pin is part of a button assembly. So to get them in, they've just spliced the black plastic out to the side. And I'm not sure how well it's going to actually take to getting spliced out like that again. This thing is probably dating from roughly, I'd say, the early 70s, so it's certainly not new. This is Bakelite, actually. This is not plastic even. The orange stuff is obviously plastic, but the front panel is Bakelite, and it could be actually the switch assembly is Bakelite as well, so could be that it's rather durable. What's the chat say? TBBW says, oh, a quote, I sneeze and the stream dies kind of stream. Yes indeed, except we're using cheapo Chinese streaming devices, so we don't even need to sneeze, they're just going to die on their own. So I want a knife, and I want to try and kind of very, very carefully price out all these buttons one at a time. I have no idea how well this is going to work. Oh, this is terrifying, because if this goes crack, then we're done. Then this thing might never blow hot air ever again. Well, maybe we can actually just... It's coming along pretty nice, so maybe we can just flip it out and pull it out. But plastic on the button is not liking that one bit. Ugh, this is painful. And I see a black piece of plastic gone flying. Where did that come from? Oh, cock. That's the piece of plastic holding these two switches in. Ah, crap. Well, we can certainly see that the switch is in bad condition. I might be able to fix that plastic. Actually, this Bakelite stuff, it glues very well, so it's not entirely done for. I can fix that, no problems. But I was very afraid that was going to happen. But yeah, we can see that this is an old, greasy type of a deal. Let's get into microscope view. Zoom. There we go. This ought to be able to focus on that, if it just wants to. It doesn't want to, so I'll have to go into manual focus as well. Oh no, there we go. Excellent. So there's the contact, or rather the surface where the plastic has been sliding. Oh geez, the slightest movement of the camera is going to make you guys seasick, but you'll have to make do. Where'd my tweezers go? So if we take this out, oh god, there's a lag on the display. Ugh, just look at that. So that's not the actual contact. That's the actual contact right there. Yeah, that's seen better days. No wonder this isn't doing too well. I hope... Oh god. I think we might have lost the spring. Have we lost the spring? Can we see any wear patterns on this? Oh no, maybe we haven't lost the spring. There's a possibility that there's supposed to be a spring going in there which is going to push the button out, but I don't think so. I can't see any wear patterns for it, no. Rubbing of a spring there, no rubbing of a spring at the bottom or anything. So hopefully there's not supposed to be any. We can't really see in there either, but yeah, these contacts there. That's just a charred mess, isn't it? Jeez. So let's try and give that a bit of a rubbing and see what comes out. I think we must start with some fine sandpaper on this. This is like, well, fine, I find this is 320 grit. What I happen to have at hand is going to be good enough. It's worn down 320 grit. I'll just rip out a small piece of that. I can't see shit of what I'm doing. What's the chat say? Just clean them. We are cleaning them. Essun asks, you may have answered this before, but what's your education/day job? My education is a trashy local college type 3-year electronics IT type of deal, which was entirely worthless. But since I live in socialist Finland, it didn't cost me anything, so I don't mind. It was a waste of time though. My day job is I fix all kinds of electronics. Work at a local just electronics place basically. It used to be a TV service, but now we just fix everything, literally everything. So I fix all kinds of weird industrial things that no one else wants to touch, and troubleshoot all kinds of stuff. Mostly work under a microscope these days, just do the tiny stuff. Lots of reprogramming TVs, like just throwing a programmer on the EEPROM and putting new firmwares in from shady Russian sites because they keep breaking. That's cleaning up somewhat nicely, but we can't really access anything with that sandpaper. I'm going to have to hopefully dissolve it with isopropyl alcohol. How's this going to go? Yeah, this is just copper all the way through, so it doesn't really matter if we take away quite a bit of material. It's not going to turn into anything else. It's not like a brass knob on that, it's just copper. I've really been toying with the idea of getting like a Lewis Rossmann tier microscope in here, because I could probably make back the money I spent on that for like €1,000 for one of the trinocular ones where you can actually shove a camera down the microscope. And I've noticed at work I just use a microscope for everything. Like even normal solder joints I don't need to use a microscope for. I use a microscope for because it's more comfy and just makes troubleshooting things so much easier. So much easier. Like anytime you're unsure about something, just visual it under a microscope and you'll get a very quick answer as to whether or not it's physically broken. That's coming along nicely. Let's just move. I'm going to have to zoom you guys out because it's impossible to stay in frame this way. There's right in focus. Hope so. Q-tips. and alcohol. This is my latest alcohol syringe, by the way. I've just put a tiny pinhole in the end of this rubber cap and it works excellent. I can just dosate tiny amounts of alcohol with this. Saves a lot of just drippage and waste. Kimi Custom asks, hello guys and you FF, do you have those stupid allergies things? I'm having them and my eyes are scratching so bad. Yes, I'm allergic to everything. So I'm on a bunch of allergy medication. Else I die. I will if I weren't eating allergy pills right now, I'd literally be sneezing every second breath, and I'm not exaggerating. Like I'm just a constant river of snot pouring out my nose and my eyes are on fire. We're getting extreme amounts of pollen this year, like just ridiculous amounts. My vehicle, like I cleaned the windshield of my Peugeot last night, and this morning it was just covered in yellow trash to the point where it was difficult to see out. It's like it's snowing, it's ridiculous. The trees are having a giant gangbang. Technically, if you're allergic to pollen, you're just allergic to getting nasally raped by trees, because you know that is basically the semen, the equivalent of that. So you know that's nice to know. You have a nose full of cum. Oh, this is crusty. Oh, this whole thing is copper, but it's been greased at some point, but the arkings just turned the grease into some horrible black mess. What's the chat say? Robert Missay says, the usual broken firmware Vestel TV motherboards. Yes, lots of Vestel. Lots of Vestel. And if you haven't heard about Vestel, they're a company which basically make all of the cheap no-name TVs. And they also buy a lot of smaller brands or people who now own like old defunct brands like JVC, Hitachi, every old local TV brand you used to know. They're all Vestel now, or a couple of other OEs, but it's basically just the same guts in all of them, and they all go wrong. They all have software issues. Every new cheapo TV gets retarded software issues. Like just yesterday I was fixing a TV. It had no audio. It had no noise coming out of the speakers or anything, and the Class D amplifier chip was running a bit hot. So I figured, okay, I mean, that's obviously got to be a bad Class D amplifier chip. We've seen them before. That particular TV had no heat sinking on it at all. It was just going into a 2-layer PCB. So we figured, yeah, probably just shot amplifier, because no audio, no hiss, no nothing. We ordered a new amplifier IC, put it in that same shit. Then I have a dig through my boxes and I find a couple of pre-programmed flash chips for that particular TV. I throw one of them in, and don't you know if the sound comes back. So a TV had just randomly had the sound go quiet. It had muted the amplifier IC just because of a software issue, unprovoked. The customer was watching TV as they'd done since they got the TV, and then it had just gone quiet at random for no reason. And I mean, in a way I should be happy about it, since I can make some amount of money on it, but I don't like at all that they are putting trash like that in things you pay money for. And the worst part is, lots of Vestel TVs are actually pretty good TVs. They're good value for money. The menu systems in them are excellent. They are very localized. They usually come decently translated to your local language. You can usually navigate the menus very easily. They're good TVs. Except they have horrible software issues which bricks them. And at random. After 3 years or so. When you reflash the firmware, or the config parameters, whatever's stored in the tiny, like 64 megabit flash, SO8 flash on it, and then it's good again. It's just dumb. It's just trying to get people to buy new TVs when they don't have to. Second most common issue on them is bad LEDs in backlight. If you have an LED TV, I'd say every single step you turn down the LED backlight level, like just go to the menu, backlight control, turn it down one step, you double the life of your TV. Like the LEDs they put in them are such garbage, or they are not cooled properly. Because they just fail, and we replace so many LEDs in those. Just take the panel apart. I need to repoke my hole in this. Take the panel apart, shove fresh LEDs in them. We usually salvage LEDs from Sony TVs because Sony actually uses way better LEDs than everyone else. Where are my needles? So we just put used Sony LEDs in the Vestel TVs and they work again forever. Until they get a random mainboard failure and they come in and we have to flash them. Or the customer just throws them away because they feel they don't want to spend any money on their €300 TV. Because who does that? The whole consumerism idea, where you buy something cheap and just replace it when it breaks, is so toxic. Like, I often buy cheap things, everyone does. But I think when your cheap thing breaks, if it's possible, you should, fix it. Because you paid so little money for it to begin with. Why would you... I mean, it is justified to spend more money on it to still have paid less than if you'd purchased a more expensive product to begin with. Because when you fix something, chances are you're going to do a better job than the factory did assembling it, and you're going to have a decent TV afterwards. Like the TVs we replace the LEDs on, they barely ever fail again, because we put decent quality LEDs in. But oh well, I guess that's the world we live in. Now this switch is turning out relatively decent, I think. This is the world we live in, these are the hands we're given. Yeah, that's good enough. Oh, there's a spring in there. Oh, that's very good to know. There's a spring in there. That could have gone so horribly wrong. When this thing exploded, that spring could have gone flying. But yeah, maybe this is still a bit pitted. Actually, I need to I need to fetch some finer sandpaper, because we can't use 320 grit to do that. It's just going to make too deep a pit. $500, 2,000. Oh, dick. I just threw a giant basket of cleaning accessories down on the floor, upside down. Give me a moment. This place is a mess while I'm waiting to move. God, this is horrifying. I'm so happy you guys don't have to see this. Ugh, disgusting. Disgusting. Absolutely horrifying. Let's see what we can do with this. I think we want a bit of 2000 grit and then we can do with some of this stuff. I don't know what you'd call this. No idea. It's like it translates to bear's tongue in Swedish, but that's probably not the right English translation. What was the chat saying? Do you reckon it's deliberate planned obsolescence? Probably referring to the TVs. Yes, of course. Obviously. TBBW says, so by your logic, if your stream breaks and you don't fix it, you are no better than the people throwing away their TVs. Yes, but I do usually fix my streams. Like that one stream which broke recently, which I didn't bother fixing. It was beyond my saving of a time. Because, well, my devices were broken. They weren't working as advertised because they're cheap and Chinese and shitty and cost $60 a piece. And that is not enough for a HDMI capture device. This is turning out pretty nice. Really polishing my knob. Ah, so shiny. I should probably wet the knob a bit and rub the wet knob a bit more. Round and round in little circles. Beautiful. I think this could be okay. That's good enough. Don't think we actually need any other stuff. I'm going to call that fine. I can do maybe one more. I've got to go to bed soon. What we should say. I know, but Chat said a lot of things, but I don't have time for that. I want my heater to work. Well, I did want my heater to work months ago when it was still cold. I don't want to break this anymore. How do we... this thing... Okay, we should now have audio again. I've noticed the battery indicator on that road link video, whatever, is a bit misleading. It was showing 2 bars when I started, but the final 2 bars are roughly equal to 1/5 of the first bar. You could probably hear it while I was fixing that actually, since the internal mic takes over. Oh well, we're professionals, hence the... yeah. Everything did fall apart, well, kind of. Let's just keep doing our thing. So the first one was for the let's see, what's that? This is the one which can... ah, jeez, I don't remember which one's which. Let's see, this... yeah, this is the middle one, so this is for the first level heater. This is probably the one which breaks the biggest current the most often, because I usually have this cold, mid, and usually I don't use maximum power too often, and then I turn them off mid, low, to not destroy the switch. So this one's probably going to be a bit ugly. Let's give you guys a zoom in of that. Boosh. But one good feature of this camera: autofocus microscoping. Let's see what we have in there. Yeah, I'm not looking too happy. Oh wow. Oh, just wait till I see this. That's black. That is so worn out. That's going to be our main issue. Gee, the poor thing. So I think the cause of this is that we're zoomed in too far for this to work properly. I think the cause of this might be this thing, since it's suffered that sticky, springy thing. We've not we have this thing, which is supposed to spring in and out, and it's not doing that at all as easily as it should. That's obviously been greased at some point, but the grease has turned into black gunk. Oh, this is so sticky. So we want to probably clean this hole right good and lube it up again, so that our suggestively shaped device might travel easily within it once more. So we'll just do the same thing basically. Let's just start with the connector housing, since that's the easiest to get at. Fill that up with alcohol and give it a rub-a-dub-dub, just to get the worst crud out of there, because everything's covered in soot, of course, from the copper vaporizing when it's arcing and being all horrid. Yuck. Yeah, this has run so hot. You can see how discoloured the copper is there compared to this one. That's been running hot for quite a while before it started arcing. It's not going to be better by the fact I broke the plastic there. That's got me down a bit. Ah, yuck. Yuck, yuck. I'll just keep rubbing until no more comes out, as you usually do. this is not looking too nice. There's a lot of like dirt and old grease and vaporized copper everywhere. It just does not stop coming. Which is usually not a bad thing, but today I'd rather it did stop at some point. Yuck, 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 yuck. Alright, that'll have to be enough. Can't waste too many Q-tips on one singular connector. Jorma says, maybe add a solid state relay before the buttons so you don't have to use these to switch the load anymore. Only turn on the solid state relay after setting the temp. Maybe that's a bit too much work. Noggin Vanog says, hey, just joined the channel. Did I hear you say you're Swedish? I work for a Swedish company. You don't sound Swedish. Well, I'm Finnish, but I speak Swedish, so technically I'm Swedish. Live on the Åland Islands, out of nowhere. But I've been doing this YouTube thing for quite a while, so yeah, I've kind of tried and to some extent failed to just get rid of my horrible Swedish accent. See, I don't like the sound of a Swedish accent. Even though I can do the Swedish accent pretty good. In my head it's very difficult to like do a Swedish accent instead of also doing like a Finnish accent as well. The Swedish accent is a bit more wavy. While the Finnish accent is very more... The Finnish accent is a lot more hydraulic press channel, kind of. But I speak Swedish with a Finnish accent, so I'm kind of more inclined to do the Finnish accent than the Swedish accent. TBBW says, the Swedish accent in English even makes me cringe and I'm Swede. Oh, TBB, I did not know you were Swedish, I thought you were a Brit. Or something, American. Okay. I think this knob is coming along quite nicely. We need to get in there with some sandpaper proper. Now, this is not quite as easy to access as I hoped. Oh, TBB, you live in Stockholm, you poor sod. I've been in Stockholm once and I'm never ever going back. That town did not intrigue me. SN says, much like the Norwegian accents. Yeah, Norwegian and Swedish accents sound pretty similar. In English, of course. But I mean, Swedish and Norwegian are pretty much the same thing anyway. TBBW asks, haha, okay, English traffic or Stockholm? If you had to pick one, which would it be? I mean, it's very difficult to... It's a bit of apples and oranges, don't you think? Would you rather drive in a weird country, or would you rather be in a specific place? I'd probably take, like, the risk of dying from being in Stockholm for a whole day compared to the risk of dying from driving in Britain a whole day is roughly the same in my book. Like, the entire time I was in Stockholm, I was afraid of getting stabbed by someone. It was not a good day. No, this is not a good switch. It's very deeply pitted in there. Mac user 1K asks, what does fitta mean? It means cunt. Alright, come on. Stupid sandpaper. TBBW says, you avoided the question, which would you pick if you had to pick? The point I was making is there's not much difference. But I'd probably go to Stockholm since that's less of a travel. And, well, yeah, probably Stockholm. I rode an Uber once in Britain and it was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life. Like, the idea of people like him driving makes me very afraid. It was some Indian guy and he had like this statue of some god in front of a speedometer. So neither he nor anyone else could tell how quick he was going. Because there was some god statue in front of a speedometer. Oh man, this is horrible to access. Absolutely horrendous. It's difficult to polish this knob. Fitta can mean wet grassland. That is so archaic. Also hilarious. Hey girl, I'd like to see your wet grassland, if you know what I mean. TBVW says, I was in a cab in Bucharest once. It was a white-knuckle ride of my life. They used the horn as a "you move, here I come." Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine, like, Central and Southern Europe is an interesting place to be when it comes to traffic. I don't remember where Bucharest is though. It's one of those big cities, safe-ish? I have no idea. I'm very, very bad at my European countries. Ah, jeez. This half of the contact is all pitted as well. Maybe we can get that with a razor knife. Just kind of scratch the surface a bit to clear it out. Oh god, that's horrid. This is so worn out. So worn out. And so out of frame. Yes, there's some metal underneath all that corrosion, yeah? It's cleaning out nicely. I'm not going to try and give you guys a close-up camera, because that's just going to be so impossible to keep in frame. So utterly impossible. TBBW says Bucharest is in Romania. Oh. One of those countries that has more trucks registered than people. I can see why that would be an interesting place to ride a vehicle in. Yeah, that's good enough. It's kind of shiny again. Better than it was. So let's get to the other parts. ZX8401ZTV says, and I thought you were gone for a while? What? Icicle Gaming says you should change that switch unless you want a full house heater. Well, I implore you to source a switch like this for me. If you can source a switch like this, I will gladly use it. However, I'm not going to replace it with anything that's not this switch. At the very most, I might add a relay inside the box to just offload this switch, as I've done in some vintage devices. It works quite well. But I'm always actually very alert to this device, since I use it in my couch when I'm lying on the couch and it's blowing directly at me all the time. So if something goes wrong with it, I will know, because it will be setting me on fire. Some fresh 2000 grit, please. And we'll just keep on polishing our knobs. From all angles. Very, very, very carefully. Make sure all the crud comes out of there. Ah, this is deeply pitted right there. Maybe you can even see that. That's just a deep hole where it's made contact one too many times. ZX8401 says, I thought you were having a rest from YouTube to do more important things. Well, I am. I just had a bit of time over today. I used, for the longest time I've been keeping up a schedule of roughly one video per week, and I published that I'm going to be gone for a while video after I noticed that was just entirely falling apart, and I was not living up to the expectations which some people might have for my channel. So I figured might as well go, hey, I'm not doing as well as I have in the past, sorry. You know, just to let people know. I'm still going to try and be around when possible, and I've got a few videos lined up. Just not one every week anymore. That's not sustainable right now. Icicle Gaming says something AliExpress. I'm not using an AliExpress switch. Like, keep in mind, this is a 30, almost 40-year-old switch. Like, there's not going to be an exact replacement of any kind. Like, this is Bakelite, this is this is a vintage device, and I don't use AliExpress type things to restore vintage devices, at least not cosmetic pieces which aren't like exact perfect replacements, unless it's something I don't care about, but I do care about this thing. Kimi Custom says, you can polish your knobs, but not in here. Watch me. I mean, you literally are watching me polish my knob with a very fine grained sandpaper. And now some fluids. We all like fluids on our polished knobs. Isacal Gaming says, oh, I thought you only wanted to get it working. I didn't know you were restoring it. Well, I mean, in a way, it's kind of both. I mostly want it working, but I also really love the way this thing looks. Like the giant orange. Perhaps you haven't seen it if you just joined. Like, here's the thing. It's huge, it's orange. It's very, very vintage. Like, that's the grill there. Black Bakelite. It's a lovely, lovely device. It's so incredibly 70s. What was I doing? I was polishing this with alcohol. ZX says, FF, I never expected you to produce videos every week. I know you have a life, like we all do. I don't have much of a life, but some people did expect me to produce videos more often than I have. So if, even if though you, ZX, might not be part of that demographic, I'm reasonably happy in my choice of action regarding the issue. In particular, people like, if you keep something up and someone finds your channel, they love it, and they go to Patreon and give you something for it. They have a reasonable expectation of you to keep doing roughly the same thing as you have for the longest time. That is perhaps not as true for really long-time viewers like you. Kimi Custom says, very NF not safe for work stuff coming. Does anyone remember here that one FF stream where we were talking about Max Arcade's a big deal though? I did not know Max Arcade had a big deal though. I mean, I am not in the slightest surprised to hear that Max Arcade has a big deal though. But I was not acutely aware of that fact prior to now. Is that like something that's showed up in a video or something? Or something he's mentioned like on one of his weird furry type things? If that's like a picture, I'd love to see it. Oh, you just see my hair now, aren't you? Jeez, this thing is pitted. This is not a habit switch. Nope, not a habit switch at all. Very, very pitted. I have to really excavate because I need to take a new tip over this blade. never aim these into your face because there can be little pieces of metal come flying out. Don't ask how I know. I actually want to go to microscope view for this because I can't even see what I'm doing. Zoom. Where are we? There we go. All the pits. Ugh. I feel like a dentist. I really want a real microscope for doing this kind of thing. Like there's a roughly 100 millisecond lag from my movement to when it shows up on a monitor in front of my face, and that's enough to like make your body go, oh no, this is not you causing this, this is just something happening. And that's very, very confusing. I have very little motor control due to the lag. It's fine if there's a little groove there, so it's going to be resting down with spring pressure on the contact, but the pitting needs to go because it's full of copper oxide and dirt. I think that might be decent. Kimmy Custom says, I would put a link to a photo about that dildo, but I can't put any links in here. Could you like please email it to me at ffcossag@gmail.com. I'd really like to see that actually. Like, I'm a big fan of Max Arcade. I like his stuff, and I like his furry stuff. I mean, I'm cool with everything the guy does. So I'd love to see this piece of gossip. It sounds amazing. Sounds like a lot of fun. Oh, this is so pitted and horrible. It makes me want to cry. If I can just take a file to that actually and just grind away a decent chunk. This one will do. What was I should say? Kimmy Custom asks what the Gmail was. My work email is ffcossag, like the channel name, @gmail.com. No numbers, no dots, just ffcossag@gmail.com. Yeah, this is working well. The lag is killing me. Oh, that's not suggestive looking at all, is it? I think that might be fine. Yeah, all the pitting's gone now. Yeah, this is okay. That's okay. Oh god, I'm destroying everything. Let's have a look at this thing. Ugh. Ugh. Yuck. Ah, I got an email. Max Arcade's dildo. What's that? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at Max Arcade's dildo. Oh, a YouTube link. Okay. Ah, come on, man. Ah. Fine. You got me. 2008 cold. 2008 cold, man. Ah, that's silly. That's silly. God damn it, turn off. Light off. Man, I was expecting something better. Well, let's just keep pausing our knobs in lack of better dildos. Oh god, that is... ugh. That is hardcore. Jeez. I can rub that as hard as I like, but it's not coming off. Ah. Jeez. Yuck. Well, we can actually use a file for that. Come on. That's not going well at all. Well, that's a burn mark. Yuck. That's that. Pseudos asks, are you using vinegar or alcohol there? Alcohol, of course. Why would you use vinegar on electronics? That's an acid that causes corrosion and conducts electricity and all other horrible things. Phoenix says hello. Hello. That's good enough. That's good enough. I just need to get alcohol out of there as well. There we go. Gave it a, and say it with me, a thorough blowjob. So I think that's pretty much good enough. We don't really care about any dirt up in there. Doesn't really need to be cleaned out. Just one more to go then. I'll zoom back out. Phone went blip. Has someone else rickrolled me again? Okay, we've got Kimmy Custom again. Real dildo. Okay, let's see what you have. I'm going to turn this away from the camera. Goo.gl. Just going to Bad Dragon, come on. I want a picture like of Max Arcade's dildo, not just the Bad Dragon store page for it. Come on, you can do better than that. You can do better than that, man. I know what Bad Dragon's website looks like, come on. Let's get to the final Switch 8 and hopefully not ruin this piece as well. I have a feeling this is going to be horrible. Perhaps our file can be of use. I'm going to try and bend the white plastic. Yeah, you can bend the white plastic slightly. Just bend that in rather than bend the black stuff out, because I think the black stuff might be more fragile. Let's give it a go. Ugh. That was a horrible sound. Maybe not do that. Can we fit a screwdriver in there? We can, kind of. So screwdriver and knife bendy at the same time might do this. Let's see. You guys are not going to see anything of this. Sorry. Oh God. This is not built to come apart at all. Do not like this. I don't want to ruin this thing further. Come on. Cock. 15 big dicks. We cracked the bakelite again. But this time it's the outer edge, so that is not at all as big a deal, because this is going to be kept together by the brackets. So this is a lot more manageable. Well, let's put that apart. It's just going to take some reconstructive surgery. It's not going to be too bad. So, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm also going to probably cockblock you guys rather hard on this, because I don't think we're going to finish this tonight. Because I want to kind of start getting to bed soon. Soon enough. Kimi Custom says, there's new email for you. The real thing. Okay. Real deal dildo. Okay. Let's see what you have for me. A JPEG. Oh, fuck's sake. That is hilarious, though. Go back to 4chan, man. So, that is old, crusty, horrible grease. Buzz Lightyear, or Buzz Lightyear ass on fire. Hey, do you come? Oh, that's sticky. Ugh. Yuck. How badly pitted is this? And not as bad as the middle one. The middle one was by far the worst, as I expected. I don't want to put the files away. Probably going to need those. I'm wondering. Maybe we can kind of fix this just slightly, like so. So actually I have an idea what I'm doing on the bench. And let's just get back to rubbing and grinding. Alcohol. Get all the horrible old grease out of that. shouldn't have any beginning cracks. No, it's fine. Oh man. I wish it had broken on the 8 side on that switch as well, because that's going to be so much easier to fix than the inside crack. I probably have to go get some fresh super glue for it. Bakelite glue as well, but it still needs to take a fair amount of loading. Yeah, this one's actually turning out pretty good, just from the alcohol. Look at that, it's all nice and shiny. A bit of a pit there, so we'll still have to sandpaper it like the others. But it's going to be fine. Less horrid. Less bad. Less completely wrecked and destroyed. Fuzai Allah says, hello, hello. Hello, hello to you too. ZX84 says, it's 3 rocker switches glued together, easy to recreate that switch. It's not actually 3 rocker switches glued together, it is a triple rocker switch. Like this is one piece of, what's it called, Bakelite. So it's not just 3 pieces, it is actually one special piece. In other news, I hope to have a decent video treat coming up for you guys, because I've got, currently sitting back in the car, a Sony something 80 ES power amplifier in for repair, and that is a beast. It is a 270 watt per channel rated ultra high-end Sony's absolutely high segment power amplifier. Early 80s, I believe. It's completely exploded. Another tech's had a go at it. He exploded it further, and we're going to bring it back to life no matter what. On eBay, the Sony TS something 80 ES, no, TA something 80 ES, they go for like between 500 and 1500 euros used, so they're pretty decent, Above all, they are specified for a ridiculously low noise floor of 35 microvolts, which is lower than the quietest amplifier I've ever measured. So I am really looking forward to seeing that in action, because I do love my ultra low noise hi-fi amps. Jono says, 80s amplifier, I put my money on conductive gunk. Unlikely, because it's a very high-end unit, and they have an undersized heatsink. So it's exploded the output, probably due to heat and fatigue, and it's just broken many things. It was deemed beyond economical repair just because it takes so much work to disassemble and reassemble that the customer just purchased a new amplifier ages ago. Like, this thing has been sitting around for the better part of a decade, just in a pile of trash, all taken apart. There's probably half the pieces missing. Hopefully I can scratch up enough to actually get it working and looking good. How's this for a switch? Still pretty pitted. We need to keep on ribbon. I'm going to take some 320 to that actually, because it's going to take forever otherwise. Okay, never mind, because my 320 is garbage. Pseudo says the entire point of this channel is to do nasty hacks to nasty hardware and make it work. No, the entire point of this channel is to make nasty hacks to nice hardware and make it work better. Like, I've got so much nice broken stuff that I just make work kind of wrong. That's fun. Like right on the floor, I've got a couple of really expensive Onkyo AVRs taken apart, which I'm just going to turn analog because they're brain dead. And you can't get your hands on the boards. So they're basically beyond saving. But the power amplifiers are pretty decent in them. I've got like all the parts dug out to just build a little basic passive preamp board. And just build a giant 7-channel analog amplifier, just for the hell of it. Originally I just brought them home, like the Onkyo AVRs, to rip pieces out of them, but they proved to be not exploded enough to actually get to work. I've already reverse engineered one of them, I believe, an Onkyo TXNR707, enough to actually get it to play music. And I've reverse engineered the protection circuit as well, which is entirely analog and very nice. So I'm hoping to be able to just kind of figure out a circuit to basically rather quickly and easily turn the Onkyo something 7 series AVRs, which always get dead HDMI boards, into analog amps, because it's not a major incision required beyond like just taking the whole thing apart. Like circuit wise, you don't need a lot to inject a channel, inject analog audio interface. They're pretty nice to work with. What would chat say? For ZLR says just put a blob of solder on the contact. No, because solder is too soft and it moves away and then it stops working again. Jono asks, by the way, what did you do with those CRT monitors you tried to calibrate? They're sitting in the attic. I'm not sure what to do with them. They're too nice to just toss away, but no one's going to buy them. If anyone wants to come and pick them up, I'll give them to you, but local pickup only. FF, don't even ask what I emailed to you. Okay, Kimmy Custom, I won't ask what you emailed to me. Let's see what you emailed to me. So we have interesting dildos, political dildos, and I guess that's it. Interesting and political dildos. Kimmy Custom, you really do have a thing for the kind of device you shove up your behind, don't you? What am I doing? I'm cleaning this thing. Let's just clean those rockers as well. They look pretty good. Scratchy, scratchy. ASMR. we go. Nice and shiny. Where are my Q-tips? There my Q-tips are. And my booze. And we'll rubbity-dub-dub that. And I think we're pretty much getting this assembly as done as it's ever going to be. This is never ever going to be perfect ever again. I'm probably going to have to end up putting some kind of relay in here maybe. Which means I got to fetch a 230 volt relay from somewhere, and it's going to be all horrible. Big mess. But this looks entirely out of focus. Could you please... The answer is no. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think that's certainly good enough to work. So now we just get one final suggestive plastic button left to deal with. And pop. Spring come out. No, there we go. And we'll just give it a proper rubbing with various devices. Notice how I'm using this knife for everything. Like, I use these knives to clean water-damaged PC boards under a microscope. They're perfect for the job because you have this really sharp tip in that end, and you have this really blunt blade on the side I'm using right now, which is good for like this kind of stuff. They're excellent tools. As long as you get one that you're able to squeeze the blade in place with a hold it. Because if you have one of these knives and you can't, like if a groove is too deep and you can't access to squeeze it, the blade's going to be all floppy, and that's no good. You got to be able to hold it like this so the blade's super sturdy. The all plastic ones are basically garbage. You have to get one of the with a metal insert. And one which doesn't have too deep a groove. Scratch, scratch, scratch. This is turning out okay. Above all, our stream has not destroyed itself. Momella asks where I live, and TBBW answered. Thank you, TBBW, for your rather accurate reply. Focus. Good boy. Let's just put the microphone right up against the rubbing. So close. that's enough of that. Oh God. Where are we? I'm lost. Where are my tools? What am I doing? I'm using this. TBBW says, dang, that scratchy is giving me weird goosebumps in places that are not normal. Well, I guess you just found yourself a new fancy. Just put that on your, well, what's a popular dating app? Tinder? Yeah, put that on your Tinder. Likes electronic contact cleaning. Really into the sandpaper. This is quite deeply pitted actually. No surprise since it's breaking a rather big load, this one. Scratchy, scratchy. Exciting times. Once we're done cleaning this switch, I'm just going to go to bed. Probably. Or at least go upstairs and not do work. Yuck. Okay. Off you come. Good boy. Oh, this is so grimy and horrid. Everything is grimy and horrid. TBBW says it gets weird goosebumps when FF Cossack is polishing his knob. Not sure what kinds of chicks I'd get if I put that in my Tinder. I think chicks would probably just realize that you're some rambling lunatic nerd who's probably not worth spending time with, to be frank. Or they just not understand anything, since we have a 96% male audience here. It is starting to look like something. My finger is killing me. Really should be wearing gloves for this. Okay, let's just sandpaper this top part slightly. It's not too badly pitted, just kind of dirty. Okay, it's pretty pitted actually. Not from the electrical arcing, but rather from the constant load of being sprung down against the contact, because copper is such a malleable material. Copper likes to get out of the way. To Momella, I'm not entirely sure what your first line of that is supposed to mean, but I don't think it quite matters. Wipey, wipey, wipe. Oh, that's good enough. It's shiny in most of the places it needs to be. That's good enough. I'll put that to the side. Can probably mostly just wipe the grease off of that and we'll be more or less good to go, I think. I'm not sure what kind of grease to use when reassembling these actually. I think we use some heavy oil stock from a factory, but the heavy oil has obviously been leaking and seeping everywhere, so I'm not sure how good an option that actually is. Right, that's in place. So this is starting to turn into something indeed. Well, our switches, our springs are here, and they are clearly in need of a slight alcohol wipe down as well, because they are very, very sticky from the old horrid grease. Yuck, yuck. Epic LP asks, why Comic Sans font on the upper right? Well, the answer is simple: to trigger people like you. I'm happy someone noticed. Like, I like good typography myself. It's a very ironic statement, you know. It's just there since, in case something breaks, I want to at least be slightly funny. That's one clean spring. I guess we are spring cleaning, haha. Now there's another spring which I almost lost there. Two clean springs, the third one's in here, I hope. Out you come. There we go. Spring number 3. Some booze on that and wipe it down. Yeah, a bunch of trash coming off of that. Yuck. Old grease. So 3 little springies. I don't think we have any chance of cleaning inside the hole there, so how we're gonna leave that for? I don't know. Just leave it. One spring, 2 springs, 3 springs. I probably wanted to wipe down little plungers as well. Hope I lost a plunger. Oh God, don't tell me I've lost a plunger. They were here a moment ago. I have 2 plungers out of 3. That's not good. Oh, there we go. It's just under a piece of sandpaper. 3 plungers. What a relief. Oh, this one's all charred and horrid. Jeez, not had a good time. This ain't had a good time at all. Poor thing. Need to kind of trim that because it's actually just molten and rubbed itself all over. Jeez, poor thing. guess we'll put that one in the switch which requires the least amount of contact pressure. And I think we'll just turn it around. Yeah, that's good enough. Just turn it around. It's going to work just fine. That one's good, and the last one. And after this, we're going to be ending the stream because I'm tired. I'm tired of fixing things all day. I just solve problems all the time. It's nice not to solve problems every now and again. And just watch your life fade away slowly. Tomorrow's like Christ Go to Heaven Day, which is like a national holiday in super Christian Finland, so I got the day off because everyone does, so we can watch Christ drink some Red Bull and fly away. So there are those guys, ready for reassembly, more or less. Have to figure some grease out. There's that guy in decent nick as well, just have to glue the stuff we broke. And here are our spring contacts. Also in decent nick. So that guy in the middle has obviously had a bit of a bad time, since you can see the discoloration, and it had the deepest pitting in there. That one was for the middle load, so this guy seems to be middle worn and this guy's been the least worn. So this was for the highest power setting, this was for the main power, and this was for the mid power, so I think we're going to do this for the main power since it sees the least load, this one for the middle power, and this one for the high power. So that they're basically ordered opposite to how they've been wearing, so that we kind of wear level them a bit. So, with that, I think we're pretty much done here. I'm going to have to thank you for watching, and to the people who haven't seen it, there's the thing we're fixing. My 70s vintage heater, space heater. There's the front panel, isn't it? It's a lovely piece of engineering. Brighter orange than this camera will faithfully convey. So, I'm going to quit this now. You guys have a good night and make sure you enjoy yourselves.